What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. We are here on a Wednesday, May 12th, 2021. Hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. Another day, another dollar. Couple more days in the NBA regular season as we head on in to the playoffs. Got 3 or 4 games left for each of these teams, and that'll culminate Saturday, final day of the season. Going to be a fun couple of days here. I'm on a pretty good run right now in college, or not college basketball, NBA. Had another winning night last night, which we'll get into in a second with a little recap. Our regular Wednesday guest is back, and a guy that's done a nice job on this show, Blackjack Fletcher. People enjoy your spots here. You do a nice job. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, my man. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
Everything's going great. When you're living in the world that Blackjack lives in, everything's always good.
Yes, I hear that. Good for you. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Welcome everybody in. Thanks for watching. It is noon, and that means we're here. We're here every day at noon Eastern, breaking down the games. I do want to put this out there. Next week we will have some days off. Just not any games, right? So we're not going to come on Sunday or Monday probably, or Tuesday for that matter, and just sit here and talk about nothing. There's no games, but we'll be right back for the playoffs, and it'll be great. All the experts will come on, and we'll have some great talks. 6 games today, which we're going to get to. As always, if you're enjoying what we're doing here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment in the chat box, tell your friends. We do appreciate it here at PicksWise. We are powered by FanDuel as well. Blackjack, before we get into the NBA, I did want to bring up a talking point on Twitter. And I did ask Donnie Wright to come on the show. He, for whatever reason, said he was too busy, weirdly enough, which sounds like he just doesn't want to back up an argument in front of me, which isn't surprising from him. That's what he does. But keep in mind, he is currently tweeting. But he's too busy. Listen, I kind of want to talk about this. So for anyone that doesn't know, obviously kids are making decisions on where they're going to go to college. There's still a couple kids undecided, a lot of top 5 players. And there was a top 5 player, Patrick Baldwin, who made the decision today, which this had been in motion for some time, that the thought was, Blackjack, he was going to go play for his father, who coaches at UW Milwaukee, a team out of the Horizon League. If you remember, they made the conference tournament final this year against Cleveland State. Really a middling basketball team. Really haven't had any legitimate basketball success ever. And for anyone that doesn't know, Patrick Baldwin Sr. has been an assistant in college basketball. And really he's been coaching basketball since the early 2000s. I think he made his debut as a coach in 2000. Keep in mind his son wasn't born at that point. For anyone that has this notion that he only went to UW Milwaukee because his father had this ploy for 20 years to get his son to only go to Milwaukee. So he decides, I'm not going to go to Duke. Because, by the way, if, we want to call him selfish. I mean, is Coach Krzyzewski not selfish? I mean, what are we even talking about here? So he goes play and decides he's going to go to UW Milwaukee. And Donnie Wright starts spouting off that the kid and his father's selfish, his father's this, his father's that. The gall on you. The gall on you. First of all, right, wherever Patrick Baldwin goes has literally no bearing on his standing. He's going to the NBA regardless of whether he sits out for a year, goes and plays in Cyprus, plays for his dad at UW Milwaukee, or goes and plays for his whoever wherever. It has no bearing on whether he's going to do well in the NBA or not. Second of all, if you actually believe, and if you actually knew anything about Patrick Baldwin Sr., you would be well aware he gave the son his absolute decision. He didn't have any bearing on whether he was going to go to UW Milwaukee or not. And I got to be honest, if I was a top 5 player in America and I had a father who taught me everything I knew about the game of basketball from when I was a toddler, and he was a coach in America, I don't care where it was, I would go play for my father. And you would, and Blackjack would, and everybody watching the show would as well. The goal on you, you don't know Patrick Baldwin, and if you knew about him, you'd know how good a coach he was. And you would know that when he was at Northwestern, he grabbed that group a couple of top 30 recruiting classes. He's a great recruiter. He's a great coach. And he's got an opportunity now to prove that. And he's now at Milwaukee, and he happens to have a son who's very good at basketball. To call him, how's he selfish? And Blackjack made a great point to me before the show. Blackjack, what'd you say? If he was selfish,
he would have leveraged his son's recruitment into a job at a better school.
Right.
He could have said, listen,
Right.
my son will come there, but I need a job as an assistant or a scout or something.
Exactly.
And we've seen that how many times, right? That happens all the time.
All the time. And first of all, look, at the end of the day, Patrick Baldwin wanted to go play for Pop. And good for him. I'm happy about it. It's great. It's a year that they'll have together, that they'll remember. And you know what? It really won't have any bearing on whether Patrick Baldwin goes to the NBA or not. I guess we're going to call him selfish because he maybe hasn't been great. And 3 years he's been the coach at Milwaukee. He went to the conference tournament final one time. It's a tough school to win at. He's done his best at recruiting. You really think that he's on the hot? Donnie basically made the point that he was on a hot seat or something, and he needed.
I don't care whether he was or not. It doesn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, kids today have more autonomy than at any point prior. If this kid wanted to go to Duke, if he sat down with his father, who is a basketball coach, who understands the lay of the land, and said, you know what, Dad, I really want to go play at Duke. What do you think that conversation is? Yeah. You think his father is getting mad and angry?
You think his dad's saying, you're grounded if you don't go?
I don't see it, man. I don't see it. So
it didn't happen.
I don't know why anyone cares.
Kids are 18 years old at this point. They make their own decisions. You really think his dad held it over and said, hey, son, if you don't go play for me, I'm cutting off your support? I mean, what? If you knew anything about Baldwin,
12 months from now, he's going to be a millionaire.
Yeah, you would know it's completely untrue. I mean, it has no bearing. Baldwin could have went to the G League and made $500,000 next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are we even talking about here? To throw out this nonsense, man, especially in a country where we are so devoid of good fathers, man. I mean, give me a fucking break, man. I hate the curse, but I mean, it is so out of line. But these are the same people that called LeVar Ball a terrible father. So it's not surprising. It's people that have no idea what they're talking about. They don't even watch basketball for other than March. And I've asked Donnie to come on. He had no interest, and that I think it's clear because he looked totally stupid. But this is the same guy that said that little kids should be hitting players, in football the way they were. Did you see that video going around, Blackjack?
No.
The little peewee kids doing Oklahoma drills against each other.
Okay.
But this is the same guy, and Donnie writes it, who said that's totally okay. I feel like so. Weird. Wish he would have came on and defended himself, but didn't want to.
But we're gonna start those head injuries even younger.
Yeah, exactly. It makes a lot of sense, right? So good for Patrick Baldwin. I'm happy to see him. I think he's going to dominate next year at Milwaukee. And as we know, last word, it really doesn't matter because you can go play anywhere. You ever hear LaMelo Ball played in Lithuania, then Australia, and look at him, Rookie of the Year. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's move to the next order of business, and that's breaking down the games today. Shout out to everybody watching. JG says, nice prop on Jokic. Thank you, man. Yeah, it was close. It almost didn't come in because they were up and Jokic decided to sit on the bench. It almost didn't come in, but it came in, and I'm very happy about it. Lost last night. Blackjack had Jimmy Butler, a prop with Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Guy gets poked in the eye, doesn't play the rest of the game. Pretty brutal. How'd you do last night? Did you bet on anything?
I did. The Knicks were very good for me. I had them first half in full game. I will say your Sixers disappointed me.
I had Indiana.
Not only not covering, but losing outright to that suckbag franchise. Really disappointed.
You hate that team.
Not a fan.
They covered for you the other night, though, on Monday.
They did, and I'm probably going to bet them again tonight. So, whatever. But, yeah, the Knicks took care of business for me.
The Knicks did take care of business. Good call. I had the under. I took it live, under 200.5. It fell 200. So thank you very much.
Oh.
All right. Let's get into today's action here. We only have, 6 games. Won't take too long. We'll have some good ones here. We'll start it out with the game we talked about Monday night. Now we have it again on Wednesday here. Washington headed on the road to take on Atlanta. Atlanta laying 6.5, total 238.5. Remember the other night, very high-scoring game, got to 249. And with a game where Atlanta only shot about 30% from three, it was up and down. No Bradley Beal again tonight. Washington's pretty much where they're going to be. They're going to have to play in the play-in games. It's pretty simple. It's pretty much likely at this point the Bulls are not going to catch them. And when you look at the Hawks, they actually have some fighting to do. The Knicks are right on their heels. Hawks need a win here. Hawks need to play. It's been pretty evident that we know what these paces are going to be when the Washington Wizards play. It's up and down, breakneck speed basketball. You look at the other night, 109 possessions in that game. That would clock out as the highest tempo in the NBA. So we know that this is going to go up and down. Washington defensively has the worst points per game in the league. They're giving up more than everybody. Hawks have had these games where they just haven't played real well defensively. I feel like if it's kind of not broke, don't fix it, Blackjack. This total has continued to tick up, though. When I capped it, it was 237.5. It's up to 238.5. What do you think about this one? Do you just say if it's not broke, don't fix it and play the over here?
I think if you're going to play the total, the over's the only way you can look. I mean, you can't look at an under between these two teams. It's crazy. But I am going to take the Wizards in this game plus 6.5. I like that they were able to stay close in the first game that they played on Monday. If Washington were to win this game, they would clinch a spot in the play-in tournament. So I think that Westbrook will do what Westbrook does and keep this game close. I don't know whether they'll win it or not, but I expect him to keep this thing within reach. I mean, some people are critical of Russell Westbrook and they criticize him and, his style of play. At the end of the day, I think it's lunacy. I mean, I think what the guy is essentially doing is moving heaven and earth on a team that stinks, okay, and keeping them remotely competitive. So I think he'll do it again tonight. I'll take the 6.5.
Here's all you need to know about Russell Westbrook. Go look at their numbers without him on the court and on the court.
Listen, I've had this conversation with people, and I really it like gets my blood boiling when people want to criticize him with the triple doubles. And listen, does he steal an extra rebound or two? Yeah, I'm sure he does. But let's be honest here. What is the ceiling for this Washington Wizards team? If everything went perfectly right all season long, they get every lucky break, maybe they're the 6th seed in the East.
Yeah.
Maybe. They're not winning a title. They're not winning a first-round playoff series. So if I'm Russell Westbrook, yeah, you bet I'm going out and looking out for me. I'm going to go get mine, okay? Because at the end of the day, there's only one other guy on this team that I trust to do anything, and that's Bradley Beal. And I'm sorry, but if I'm Russell Westbrook, I think I'm better than Bradley Beal.
All right, here's what I'm going to play here in this game, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to go points, rebounds, assists, Russell Westbrook over 54.5.
Ooh, baby.
Now, I want to point this out. Over the last 5 games, Russell Westbrook, points, rebounds, assists, has hit high 50s in all of them. And in 2, he's gotten into the 60s. He's blowing them out of the water. And those were games with Bradley Beal in the lineup. Mm-hmm. As we know, we've seen it with Colin Sexton. We've seen it with certain guys. They just are the only true playmakers that these teams have. And this is Russell Westbrook, who's, again, averaging a triple-double. He's averaging 31, 12, and 12 on the season.
Come on.
On average.
It's insane.
I mean, again, that's on – so he's hitting this prop on average. Average.
Do you realize what those numbers – 31, 12, and 12 is his average, and people are still criticizing him.
Listen,
it's insane.
Listen, I'm going to make a comment here. Okay, and it will never happen, and you can – dice this opinion up all you want. I don't care. Could you make a similar legit case that when it comes to being valuable and the best, Russell Westbrook, who's played better than that?
Right here. Look at this comment.
Most valuable.
Hold on. Look at the comment by Mike Maya. That means his team is no good. No, it doesn't. It means he's the only thing that's going right on that team.
Where would they be without him?
What
They
do you
wouldn't
want
even
him
be
to
in the playoffs.
do?
Right.
What should he do?
Yeah.
Pass the ball to a bunch of bums?
It's been his whole career, basically. Outside of the years with KD and Harden. I mean, listen, people just have their opinion on Russell Westbrook. At the end of the day, he's one of 3 or 4 players that can do stuff no one else can. And if you want to argue about it, you can. But
He
the numbers
plays
speak for
hard.
themselves.
He didn't force his way out of Oklahoma City. If you think back, he re-signed there after Durant left. We get on Kevin Durant saying, oh, he left and joined the Warriors. Russell Westbrook said, screw it, I'm going to stay. Like, what are we giving this guy so much of a hard time for?
Let's also remember that with Russell Westbrook on this team, the last 2 seasons, the Wizards have been playoff teams. Where were they before that? They were one of the worst teams in the NBA.
They're not good. They're not a good team. They're not a well-run organization, okay? And you know what? There's a lot of guys at his age that would say, you know what? I don't need to be doing this every night on a team going nowhere. But I know, Jeff, you and I respect a guy like that who just plays hard every single night.
How could you not?
Well, there's a lot of people that don't.
I would love him here.
Me too.
So yeah, I'm going to keep. Again, this is on average. Russell Westbrook on average is hitting 54.5 points, rebounds, assists. That's crazy. And without Beal in a game that they pretty much have to have. I mean, again, you're probably not going to not make the playing game. You're 3 games up, but you won every game. There's 3 games left. Stranger things have happened in the NBA. Yeah, I'm going to rock with that. Are you playing anything here? You're going to take Washington? Or
I'm
what?
taking the Wizards plus the points. I mean, I think it's too many points. I think they're close enough to this Hawks team. I almost called them the Falcons. To this Hawks team to keep it close. And that's on Westbrook. And for all the people who say he's selfish, how the hell can he be selfish when he leads the NBA in assists?
They don't ever bring that up, though.
There's not one other point guard in the NBA averaging double-digit assists. Not one.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just easy to just jump on him and stuff. But again, I mean, here's something that we have to keep throwing out there. How many times did Russell Westbrook get to the conference finals? I mean, he's been right there. It's not like his teams never make the playoffs and they never do anything, and he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, do you people watch basketball? Some of you
people will, and rightfully so. People will talk about glowingly about the impact that Chris Paul has on teams, and I love Chris Paul, right? But you tell me what the difference is between the two of them.
It's not a bad point. I mean, and you're totally right. I love Paul as well. He's a Hall of Famer. And look, Russell Westbrook will be one as well. You can't not include him. Look, I don't know what you say. It's a weird subject that people just they don't like Russell Westbrook. And maybe it's kind of like me. Some people don't like me. I don't really know why they don't like me, but they don't. They don't like how I am. So me and Russell have a lot in common. So yeah, I'm glad you agree. I love Russell. He's terrific. All right. And again, let me ask you, Blackjack. Outside of Embiid, Jokic, Chris Paul, Curry, has there been anybody that's been better than Russell Westbrook, truly?
No. And I would say that he's right there with those guys. When you're averaging 31, 12, and 12, I mean, listen, I get it. They've all been playing great, and you could make an MVP case for every one of them. But man, Jeff, when we were younger, it was like a lead story on SportsCenter when someone got a triple-double. This dude's averaging one for the second time in his career.
Yeah. Now remember, in his career, he's been in the league 12 years. Russell Westbrook's averaging 23 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists. I mean, he's approaching a triple-double for his career.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I'm sorry. This guy is doing things that we'll probably never see again.
Last thing. Could you make the case he's the best point guard in the NBA?
Yeah, I can make the
How
case
do
that
you
he's the
not
best
make
point
that
guard in the
case?
NBA because number one, like I just said to you, he is leading the league in assists, which is what you want out of a point guard, right? You want a facilitator, someone who's going to run your offense. Well, he's obviously doing that if he's leading the NBA in assists. He's clearly able to contribute on the offensive end by averaging 31 a night, okay? How many guys are able to do that? He's rebounding offensively and defensively. He is a complete player, and he does defend. Let's not pretend like he doesn't play defense either, okay? He does everything you could ask of a player. Tell me, what do you want? What if you were looking at Russell Westbrook objectively, what would you want him to do better? Maybe you'd want him to shoot a little better from three, I guess, but he's not god awful. He's not Ben Simmons. You can't leave him alone.
Yeah, I mean, and look at his numbers in the playoffs, which, by the way, he's been in every year but two, and he's pretty deep runs. So, yeah, all right, let's move on. Celtics, -7 at Cleveland. Total is 220.5. Look, I have no interest in laying points with the Celtics. Do they probably cover here? I would imagine. I mean, I also don't have any interest in taking points with Cleveland. So we're pretty much at kind of a stalemate here. Boston, though, is 31-37 against the spread this year. They've not been good as a road favorite. Defensively, they're not good. Cleveland is Cleveland. I mean, they just are who they are right now. Look, if you know me, you know where I'm going. I'm going to throw it out there. Colin Sexton, points, rebounds, assists, over 34.5. Another guy that is playing on an absolutely high level right now. He has to do everything for his team. Blackjack, Colin Sexton has scored 20 or more points in 22 of the last 24 games. He's always going to give you 5 boards, 7 assists. I mean, he's always around the hoop. He's always around the basket. He's always around making plays. And this is a Celtics defense that, look, frankly, I've said for a while I don't think is particularly good. And Sexton always has opportunities. He's all they have right now.
Right.
Celtics coming off a back-to-back. I'll gladly take Colin Sexton here. Should be fresh. Should get the whole game. We might even get some garbage time for opportunities here. So I'm going to go with Colin Sexton, points, rebounds, assists, over 34.5.
I like what you're doing there. I mean, I know you're big on the props, so I like what you did. I am going to side with your earlier comment and just not walk but run away from this game. I'm not laying 7.5 points with the Celtics. I'm not taking really any number of points with the Cavaliers. So I'm just going to get the hell away from this thing. I hate it. Hate everything about it.
Could be one of those circle the drain games for the Celtics, and you just pound a bad team. Now, let's keep in mind, okay, this is a team that you would imagine that happens here. But let's go back. This is a team that lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder as double-digit favorites.
Correct.
This is a team that, got beat by 22 by the Bulls. Okay, this is a team that, has had trouble. Again, they lost to the Hornets by 21 off a loss. They did beat the Magic 132-96. Look, if you gave me a free bet on this game, I'd probably lean Celtics. They should win by 10. But this is a team that, for large parts of the season, have come up short in games that they should win by margin. So I'm just going to get away from not having to pick a side or a total. I'm going to just focus on something that's come in and it's worked. Colin Sexton, over 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think he has been really a quiet, quite a quiet, very good season, but he's on a bad team. Okay, next one. Nets and the Spurs. Nets laying 5 here, total 233.5. We know what's going to happen here. Kevin Durant's probably not going to play tonight, right? He doesn't play back-to-backs. We'll see if he does. He hasn't recently, though. James Harden has planned to play. We've seen what James Harden's kind of effort to the Nets is. With him in the lineup, they're much better than with him out of the lineup. Keep in mind, this is a Spurs team that I've noticed, Blackjack. Go look at their scores. When they play a team that wants to run, they are very willing to run. Okay? You look at the Celtics games. You look at
the Bucks.
The Bucks. You look at, they played a game against the Sixers a couple weeks ago. Ran in that one. They're a team that's willing. Wizards, 146, 143. This is a team willing to run. As we know with Brooklyn, we know they're going to score. I leaned over here. Not a game I'm going to play. I think there's too much uncertainty. Just Harden ended up playing. We saw with LeBron yesterday. He was likely to play, didn't. So, the Nets are kind of where they are. They're not going to get the 1 seed. So, Spurs are kind of in that playing game. I don't know that this game really matters a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, I don't either. And this is a game to me, Jeff, that again, I can't get a read on this Spurs team. Like, they're one of these teams. I know you and I have talked about this, like with college sports. There's always that one team that, like, no matter what you do, you're just on the wrong side of.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Spurs are that for me this year. Like, no matter what I bet, I'm wrong if the Spurs are involved. So I'm not messing with this.
Well, it's funny when you look at the Spurs scores. Like, some nights they look real good. Like, they'll, be right in the game against the Celtics or the Sixers, and then they get beat up by the Jazz in 2 straight, and then they scored 102 against the Blazers, then come back and score 146 against the Bucks. Like, they're an inconsistent young team, and that's kind of where they are. You're right. Game doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. It's likely that the Nets win, but we just don't know who's really going to play. It's likely Durant doesn't play. We may not see Harden, or might see only Harden for 20 minutes. So, just a game I'm going to pass on. All right, next one. New Orleans headed on the road to take on the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks laid 8.5, total 224. Now, Monday night, Blackjack, if you remember, I took New Orleans. They were able to cover against the Memphis Grizzlies. Yep. But now, after a loss, it's becoming pretty much impossible at this point. I guess it's not impossible. You would need the Spurs to lose every game, and the Pelicans would need to win every game. Mm-hmm. I guess there's a small shred of possibility. But this also looks like a Mavericks team right now that's really kind of circling around and saying, look, we have a bad team that's kind of on their last leg. Maybe effort's not given late, and this turns into a 10-point, 12-point, 15-point win. New Orleans is not a good defensive team, okay? We know that. We understand that. That's why they're one of the good over teams. They play with a lot of pace and don't stop anybody. They're one of the worst three-point defenses in the NBA. And if you look back, Blackjack, do you remember what happened on February 12th of this year between these two teams?
No, I do not.
Luka Doncic scored the most points he scored this season, 46. He absolutely destroyed New Orleans. It's one of those games for the final week of the season. What kind of effort do you get from New Orleans? Because they've shown certain games where they'll try. But I wonder, are they kind of in the thought that we're just out at this point? What are we really playing for? I guess they'll play hard because they do have some small shot. But I don't really want to jump in front of the Mavs. They're playing pretty good basketball right now, and Luka owns this group.
Yeah, I'm taking the Mavericks here. Minus the 8 points. I'm going with Dallas. I think that 8.5, sorry. I like the fact that the Mavericks are kind of off a really bad loss to the Grizzlies. I think that this Mavericks team sometimes can fall into a little bit of they can kind of fall in love with themselves a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they read their own press. I don't know. But it's happened a few times this year where they've been hot and they've won a few games in a row, and then they just put a clunker out there. And that's what happened against Memphis, and I feel like they needed that to kind of get them right here. And I'm with you. The Pelicans just offer very little resistance at this point. So I'm going to take the Mavericks, lay the 8.5.
Yeah, I mean, Luka should have a pretty big game here, you'd imagine. They didn't play last night. So, yeah, I guess you can make a case that recently the Pelicans have played a little bit better defensively, but I have a hard time trusting this team. I don't think they're very good. And you have to wonder where the mindset is. This is still a group that's in the bottom 10 in the NBA in defensive efficiency, points per game allowed. 3-point defense is bad. I think this could be a circle the drain game for the Pelicans, where they're on their last legs. You just have to hit them with the knockout punch, and Dallas might just do that. I think this is either a game Dallas loses or they win by 15. We'll see. You're gonna know. You're probably gonna know where this game's gonna be with, the end of the fourth quarter, I'd imagine. Or end of the third quarter. I'm sorry. I think this is a game where Pelicans just kind of give up late, and Dallas kind of pull away and win by 10.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Next one. Mike Maya says Lakers won without LeBron, Schroeder, Caruso, and still beat the Knicks. Zion is not going to affect this game. What does that have to do with this game, though?
No idea.
I don't know. They still have a guy named Anthony Davis.
Yeah. They still have the best player on the court. So
yeah, I guess I'm like trying to understand like what is like. It's not like New Orleans is, they weren't good with Zion. They're not really good without.
Exactly.
Him. Like I don't know what like the point is there. Like and look, I like the comments, but it's not like New Orleans is just like suddenly bad or something. Like they've not been good all year. Like I don't know what we're trying to sell here that they're good or something. Next, Utah hosting Portland. Utah laying 1.5 or 2, depends where you look. At FanDuel currently 1.5, total 233. This number's plummeted. I mean, you could get the Portland Trailblazers 4.5. You could have got way better numbers here than the one you're getting now. Sharps have jumped all over the Portland Trailblazers, and it sucks. And this is kind of one of the issues with sometimes if you don't bet overnights are good. Sometimes they're bad. But Portland probably was the right play at 4.5. Jazz are I think, pretty much a foregone conclusion. They're probably going to get the 1 seed at this point. And shout out to Quinn Snyder. I mean, you lose Donovan Mitchell, you lose Mike Conley, and you've still maintained that 1 seed. Pretty impressive. If you know anything about these teams, no one shoots more threes than these two teams. It's going to be a 3-point barrage. It's going to be up and down, and you're going to have plenty of offense likely in this game. I kind of almost want to lean over the total. Jazz always give you a little pushback defensively, pretty good defensive group, but there's going to be plenty of threes. Going to be a lot of volatility in this game. If you got 4.5, salud. That's where I'd be in this one. But I'm not betting it. What do you like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Jeff, the only play here would be the over. I'm not going to take it. I think it is a touch high, but the only play here for me would be the over. I think that this Jazz team without Conley and Mitchell is just not something I'm interested in betting in a lot of spots, especially against a backcourt like Portland, where I think their lack of defense with those two guys out will be exposed. So I'm going to pass on this. I mean, my only lean here would be over.
Yeah, I'll be honest. They've played well without those guys, but I still don't want to bet them. I don't give them. I don't know that Jordan Clarkson's going to score 41 tonight. We all know Portland's really good with Lillard and McCollum, and the offense is great. I just wish I'd have got a better number. And you can't legitimately bet into bad numbers constantly. You're going to lose money. So, again, I think for me, I lean on Portland. I think they find a way, but Utah still with the thought on clinching that 1 seed, and it should be a good game. Probably the best game of the night if you're looking at it. All right, final game. Lakers hosting the hapless Houston Rockets. As we know, Houston, the worst ATS team in the NBA. And the Lakers likely to get LeBron James back tonight. AD, as usual, is questionable. Is there anyone that's questionable more than this guy? I mean, every night it's, my thigh hurts, or I have a bad quad, or my hamstring's messed up, or I have a headache. There's something always wrong with this guy, Anthony Davis. And it sucks because he's great. Here's the problem. Lakers played Houston twice this season, back-to-back. Lost by 17 and 18, and that was with John Wall and James Harden. So this is a Houston team that's in way worse predicament. They're getting LeBron back. I thought the Lakers looked pretty damn good last night, even in a situation where they didn't have LeBron. AD was, good, not great. Got some good production from certain people. Houston sucks. I'm not playing Houston here. If I have to play, I'm leaning Lakers. I think they slam Houston here.
I think you're probably right, but I'm not laying 13 points. LeBron coming back is fine. Obviously, it's a good thing for them long term. It may kind of disrupt things a little bit in the first game or two while he works himself back in. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't trust this Lakers team to cover 13, and I'm sure as hell not betting on the Houston Rockets. So for me, this game is just let's walk away and see how LeBron looks.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm playing the Lakers here. I think they win by 20. I think LeBron is on a mission tonight. I think this is a Houston team that is so bad on defense. So bad. I took the team total the other night against Portland for Portland. It was awesome. I think they had 80 at half. I mean, it was crazy. So I'm going to lay it. I don't care. I think the Lakers, I like what I saw last night. I think we get AD for some part of this game, and I think LeBron's on a mission tonight. And I like the ancillary pieces. Kuzma's played well, Horton Tucker, Matthews, Mars. I like what I'm seeing from them. So I'm going to lay the 13 here. I think they win, 110-90 or something. All right, let's wrap it up with some best bets, and then we'll finish up the show. I got 3. I'm going to go Russell Westbrook, points, rebounds, and assists, over 54.5. I'm going to go Colin Sexton, points, rebounds, and assists, over 34.5. 2 guys that are the catalyst of their team and really do everything. And then I'm going to take the LA Lakers, minus 13 against a very hapless Houston Rocket group. What do you like, Blackjack?
I'm taking the Washington Wizards plus 6.5 and the Dallas Mavericks minus 8.5.
Love it. Blackjack, what do you have going on right now? Let us know where we can find you.
We're getting ready for the Preakness, man, on Saturday. It's possibly, I don't know how to say this, it's quite possibly the most anticipated and least anticipated Preakness of my life. I don't know how this story ends well, if we're being honest, but it's going to have a lot of eyeballs on it. So, we'll have a lot going on.
Medina Spirit, right?
I will not be betting the Preakness.
Okay, you're just out.
I'm not going to bet it this year.
Is that a boycott or something?
Jeff, I'm just not excited about it. I don't think that there's. Honestly, the only way that Preakness Day ends well is if Midnight Bourbon wins, and I don't think that that's going to happen. So, we'll see.
Shout out to Pimlico. Shout out to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to hit on this gas shortage stuff. First of all, I don't know how this happens. Second of all, why is this federal government seemingly doing nothing about it? Third, doesn't it seem a little odd that this happens so easily? And fourth, isn't anyone else scared that very bad things could happen if it's that easy to hack stuff? And fifth, currently, as of 11 a.m., 28.2% of all gas stations in North Carolina, almost 20% in Georgia, and 17% in Virginia are without gasoline completely. I mean, what on earth is going on in America? Nearly 3/4, Blackjack, 73% of gas stations in Pensacola, Florida have no gas. Nearly 60% of stations in Atlanta are impacted. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know, Jeff. It's funny because, nothing about this is funny, but you and I have spoken, on the phone over the last few months, and the price of gas has steadily increased lately, to the point where we're now at over $3 a gallon, and nobody's talking about it, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And at some point, we need to do something about this. I don't want to go back to paying $4 a gallon.
I mean, when you're looking, it's really concerning because when you look around the country with goods in general, everything from corn to lumber to chicken to everything is going up. It's concerning. Gas, yeah. I mean, it's bad. And again, we don't talk politics, but I mean, it's not great for the Biden administration.
Listen, man, I get that COVID was priority 1, 2, and 3 when he walked in the door.
Yeah.
Time to multitask a little bit.
Yeah.
Come on. You got to do more than one thing.
Well, remember, keep in mind, this is from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission's Twitter account. They advise, do not fill plastic bags with gasoline. So for anyone out there that doesn't know that, don't do that. Also, don't go out and fill 8,000 canisters of gasoline.
Can we not be stupid? This isn't 1970 something. We're going to have gas again.
But let's remember, by the little toilet paper fiasco, America doesn't care about other Americans. So don't worry about.
We also love panic. We love panic.
Yeah. Yes. JG says, what's a good cigar to grab? You look like you know a good cigar. Well, funny enough, and I'm going to say this very clearly, and I think I've said this before. People that smoke cigars are whack. Like, I think that's super lame. Like, these guys that, like, go and sit and, like I don't know. Just not my thing. I couldn't tell you anything about cigars. I don't.
Get a Cohiba.
There you go. Get a Cuban. That's what I
Get a
would say.
Cohiba.
I don't smoke things. I never smoke things. It's not my thing. If you like cigars, I think they smell okay, though. Some of them smell okay. But, yeah, I can't tell you, JG. Donnie Rightside, funny enough, knows a lot about cigars. So go ask him. That's what I would tell you. Tell him Big Man on Campus sent you. All right, Blackjack. That's it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out the show. Make sure you join us tomorrow. We have a new guest coming on. A new guest joining the show. She's doing her thing in the business, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you who it is. She is doing well. So we'll have her come on and speak. That's a fun teaser, isn't it, Blackjack?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Have a great night. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games tonight. Have fun. Good luck. I'm the Big Man on Campus. He's Blackjack Fletcher. This is Pickswise. Make sure you subscribe and check out the show. We're here every day, noon Eastern. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.